Hey guys, so I'm going to be doing a video about items which were supposed to be limited edition, which turned out to not be limited edition, or not as limited as we were led to believe. Okay, so first was the NikkiTutorials Oh For highlight. Now I didn't bother to get this. I just felt like there wasn't really much of a point because the three sections were so different to one another. One was like ice white, the other one was kind of like a goldy kind of color if I remember correctly, and then the other one was like a bronze color. So I understand the whole concept behind it. You want people who are really light, medium complexion and deep complexion to be able to use this highlight, and whoever's like in between, you can swirl the colors together and you can create your own custom highlight, I guess. But either way, there's going to be a shade or two shades that I'm not going to be able to use, plus the 3 lipsticks that it came with. Just wasn't too keen on those either. But isn't that, I remember when it sold out, Nikki made a video saying that she begged head office to bring it back, and it's kind of like, hold on, I'm sure you didn't have to beg head office to make the money. Like, let's just keep it real. You didn't have to beg them to make money. Let's be real. So she begged them to bring it back, but even now apparently it's still on sale on their website. That's not so limited edition. Now, what's wrong with having limited edition items and then bringing them back as permanent or not as limited? I mean, you'd think that, oh, well, you're giving everybody the opportunity to get it. It's like, that's very true. But for the people who went out of their way and rushed and fought to get the item on the first launch, it's kind of like, so I didn't have to do all of that just to get it the first time round, because look, it is still available and it's going to be still available. So I think it just irks people when something is supposed to be limited edition and it just turns out that it's not. Next was the BH Carli Bel Palette. Now this one has been discontinued, but I remember when she made the video, she was kind of like, once it's gone, it's basically gone. But they must have had a ton of stock, because that stuck around for a good year. And now they're onto the deluxe palette. I don't know, like, I managed to pick that one up, the first original one that we're actually speaking of. But I do remember her saying, once it's gone, it's gone. So you kind of have to put a spring in your step kind of thing, and stuck around for about a year. So was it really that limited? Next is the Sigma Creme de Couture, a palette that I really do like. This was brought out a good few years ago and the packaging was different. It was more like a box that you had to take the lid off of, and the package design itself was different. Like the artwork on the front was a bit different. Very cute, very beautiful nonetheless. And that went, and then they brought it back again a few years later. So was it, did they just bring it back because they knew that there was probably going to be some people who missed out and they were going to be able to up their sales for that couple of months? I don't remember there being like a huge rush for people to go and get the Sigma Creme de Couture, but I remember when I saw it, I was happy that I'd be able to get it. But at the same time, I didn't really see much hype around it, and I'm just wondering, will they reevaluate the packaging and bring it out again in a few more years? Maybe. Next is the Dose of Colors Ice Cream palette. That literally was so funny to me. I saw this palette, I absolutely fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. I was like, I must get it. They said it was limited edition, and by the time I had found out about the launch and all of that good stuff, it was nowhere to be found. I could not get it. And then all of a sudden they brought it back. They said, we have limited stock. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it this time, and I did. But then that sold out, and then they said again, where like a few months down the line, they came back and said, we're going to bring back a few more, so make sure you get your hands on it, limited amount. I thought to myself, this is not limited edition. And to be fair, I don't really look for Dose of Colors. I think they used to be the it thing when liquid lipsticks were like popping, but yeah, so I don't really look for Dose of Colors that much. They're not really in the mix of the beauty industry, and they're not as prevalent in the beauty industry as they were before. But that palette was amazing. I really like that palette, but it was just kind of like, is it limited edition or not? When are you gonna when are you gonna stop bringing out extra stock? Like, I don't know. Next is the Jaclyn Hill Champagne Pop highlight with Becca. That whole thing was just a whole mess to me. Like, I understand that when someone does a collaboration with, when a company does a collaboration with an influencer, usually the shades or the product produced is the property of the company, not the influencer. So they can do whatever they want to do with it. And once the contract is done, it's done, and they can still continue on with it. But it's kind of like, there was so much issue with that whole collection. I mean, the eye palette, we all remember what happened with that. They had the split pans, they had the single on its own, then they brought out the liquid highlight in Champagne Pop. They had the face palette. I own the face palette. It's a beautiful palette, I must say. But it's like this Champagne Pop came out in so many different forms. As I said, by itself, the split pans, the palette. They had the Champagne Pop collection eyeshadow palette. They had the poured version, the liquid version. It's just kind of like, it's not limited, because as soon as you have one version, you finish with that version, then you bring out a different version, and then you're done with that version, then you bring out a different version. And they're still selling Champagne Pop, but just not with her face on it anymore. So it wasn't as limited as we were led to believe. I think Champagne Pop was just hyped because it had such a big YouTuber's face attached to it. And lastly, again, Jaclyn Hill with that Morphe palette. The second one, the one with like a million shades, those two blues in the bottom corner. It's a beautiful palette. I haven't picked it up. I'm not too sure if I will. But now that it's permanent, I know that I can. But there was a bit of outrage sparked for more than one reason. Simply because they brought it out. They said it was going to be limited edition. As they always do, everyone rushes to go and get it. And then after that, they redesigned the packaging and brought it out again. And I think that really irritated some people, because they're like, oh, so I've got the old packaging and now everybody else is going to be able to get the new packaging and I don't have it. But on top of that, you said it was limited edition, but no, you've brought it back and I rushed to go and get it. But now these people have the luxury of being able to walk down the street and get it. Like, they don't have to speed run to the computer to go and order this palette. And then they said, oh, it's permanent. And it's just kind of like, oh my god. If I was one of those people, I would definitely be like, what do you mean? I'd be so irritated. But you know what, to be fair, there's so many other things that are worth being irritated about, rather than whether or not an item is limited edition or not. And I've heard someone give an explanation by saying, well, there's some people who probably would have not paid one of their bills in order to get this limited edition item. And then when they find out that it's permanent or that it's coming back, they kind of put themselves out to get this item, but they could have waited. And to me, I don't care how limited edition or whatever it is, if it means that I have to not pay one of my bills in order to have that item, it's not worth having. Because to be fair, I need to have my heating on, I need to have my lights on, I need to be able to eat my food, I need to be able to have a roof over my head. I am not going to jeopardize myself, and on top of that, I've got children as well. So I guess I'm thinking on that level too. I'm not going to jeopardize us just so I can have a limited edition item. If I want a limited edition item, it's going to have to come out of my savings, and savings is there for whatever I want it for, you know. So, and I understand not everybody is able to save every single month, or you know, everyone's situation is different. But my personal opinion is, if it's between my bill being paid or this limited edition item, sorry, the bill has to be paid. It has to be paid. It's not worth all of that. It's really not worth all of that, especially as we should be wise to the fact that these companies say that these things are limited edition and they're not. We should be wise to it. We should be wise to it. Come on. Let me know what you think down below. Have you rushed out to go and get one of these limited edition items? Even if it's not one that's on my list, have you run out to get a limited edition item only for it to come back in stock or to be made permanent? How did you feel about it? Tell me. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. good. Put me on notification and I'll see you in the next one.